You are listening to an exclusive interview on Bass Musician Magazine. The interview starts now.
Hey everybody, this is Raul for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist and vocalist James Lascu, who plays with Wilson.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Well, as always, James, we want to get to know you a little bit. How did you get started on bass and in music?
Bass was kind of my third instrument. I started playing the violin when I was 10, 11 years old, and I was immediately turned off to it by my teacher because I naturally was a lefty. I wanted to hold it this way.
Yeah.
And she made me hold it the other way. So it really discouraged me, and I actually quit. And then when I was about 12, a buddy of mine had an acoustic. I grabbed it, put it upside down, and I started jamming on the acoustic that way for a couple years here and there, just messing around. I think when I was around 15, I was really into art and painting and photography and theater and stuff like that. And I had some buddies in high school that were amazing musicians, like amazing drummer, amazing guitar player, and they wanted a bass player, and they just liked me so much as a friend that he just let me, borrow one of his basses, my buddy Jeremy, and he taught me how to play bass. We started playing shows after a while, and it was kind of playing live that I found this combination of theater and art, together, happening at the same time. And I really enjoyed it. And from there, I just kind of put that stuff to the wayside and focused on music from about 15, 16 on. And I kind of just stuck with bass guitar because I simply was getting more gigs. I was in 3-4 bands at a time and just jamming with all types of people. I guess I have a huge classic rock background. Those guys were, into Zeppelin and the Stones and the Beatles, and those were kind of the first bass lines that I learned. I was really inspired by Chi Chang from the Deftones. That was the guy that really made me want to even pick up an instrument in the first place. There was something about seeing them live and seeing his intensity that really gravitated me towards the instrument. May he rest in peace. But yeah. And from there, I don't know, after high school, I kind of put the bass away for a little bit and started focusing on going to school. And on a whim, I don't know, I met with the buddy, went into his friend's basement. This guy had the most amazing drum kit I've ever seen, and he sits down and starts playing, and he was just absolutely incredible. So the next day I came to his house and I brought my bass gear over, and we started jamming, and we formed ultimately like a metal band. And from 19 years old until I was about 23, 24, we were touring nonstop in a van and trailer throughout the country in more like the metal, death metal, thrash scene. This was back in like 2003, 4, 5, 6. After that, my family actually ended up moving back to Romania. My sister and I are first generation Romanian American, I should say, because I'm American. But my parents moved back. I went to visit when I was about 24, 25 in 2009. Ended up living there and playing for a pop band and producing pop music out there for almost 4 years. And then, I don't know, my life just kind of led me back to Detroit, Michigan, and I joined Wilson. That was my reason for moving back, actually, because I was always friends with Chad Nicefield, the singer, and we always kept in touch. And, something I always felt I wanted to do was to be in a hard rock band. So that was my passion. I moved back, and I've been touring with Wilson since July of 2012. I'm on the Full Blast Fuckery record cycle, Right to Rise, and now Tasting Nasty.
Very cool.
It's been a wild ride.
The music that Wilson is playing, people try to pigeonhole genres, even within rock. You can say, oh, it's rock. But as you've pointed out, it's not necessarily thrash. They kind of have it like rock with a hip-hop 90s influence, and then the coverall is alternative rock. I think that just goes to say that you guys aren't stuck with one particular sound. And I know from album to album, Tasty Nasty is your third release.
Yep.
The music is evolving as well. Even what you guys are playing yourselves is changed. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, all of us individually have completely different tastes in music, and that really comes out, I think, the most now on Tasty Nasty is all of us kind of just embracing our musical backgrounds. And when I say backgrounds, I mean back to when we were kids, even, you know, like Limp Bizkit and Deftones and stuff we grew up on. I feel like it's really made its way onto the record. And me personally, I'm a huge like prog. I like progressive metal and just really weird stuff. I love Dream Theater and Between the Buried and Me and Animals as Leaders and really shreddy, you know, cool stuff. And I kind of try to put that in there sometimes, but it doesn't really, you can't really tell because everything else, you know, just makes its own thing happen. Chad's really into hip hop. Jason's into like metalcore. Kyle likes rock, alternative rock. Pui just loves like a lot of old school rock and hardcore and stuff like that. So I don't know. It just, everything just kind of smashes together and makes what comes out, you know, and especially with Tasty Nasty, we really wanted to embrace our personalities as humans. And we like to mess around a lot and make jokes and say really stupid shit, even though we're all grown men, you know what I mean? And that comes across on the record. A lot of the songs are stories, true stories of mostly Chad, but even other members in the band, and expressed in a really childish, immature way. And you know, we just want people to have fun with it. That's all.
Totally. Well, and I watched the videos, Like a Baller.
Yep.
Particularly now, and a lot of that kind of crazy comes through there, because there's moments where I'd turn away and I'd come back and I'd go, I'm getting a Beastie Boys kind of twist on cool. This. And
yeah. That's cool that you hear that.
And Peter Gabriel notes here, a little sledgehammer bit.
I like that. Okay, I'm going to put that right here.
There you go. And so being somebody who, I'll say fortunately, have been journeying through music during all of these time frames. And I always go back to the classic MTV period when there actually was music on MTV. I got
those days. I do.
Yeah, I got those little snippets from there. And then, of course, with the other video that I watched, Dump Truck,
okay.
That's got the video game connotation, the whole flow of that. Of course, I was a terrible video game player, never got to like the next level on anything. I just lost quarters and wandered away sadly. Back to the music. You guys just finished up a tour, the Like a Baller tour, getting ready to head out on tour again next year.
Yeah, we finished the Like a Baller tour, and then we actually just did a short run with Steel Panther, the Sunset Strip Live tour. It's like their little holiday run. And then we go back out with them in March for the Mardi Gras tour. In January, we are actually playing at the Machine Shop in Michigan on the 18th. It's a headliner. And then we go off and do Shiprocked, their 10th anniversary cruise, which is going to the Yucatan, I believe. And it's like 6 days instead of 5. So I'm really hoping that, you know, everyone realizes that it's a marathon and not a race. You know what I'm saying? And after that, we have festivals coming up in April and May. So we're doing I don't even know what these new festival names are called, but it was Rockville. I don't know what they changed it to. And then Carolina Rebellion, but it's called something else now. Everyone knows what I'm talking about if they've heard of these festivals.
Gotcha. Well, and I guess the best place to look is your website. And of course, quite unique and not hard to forget, houseoffuckery.com.
Yep, that's our website, houseoffuckery.com.
There we go. And they can check the tour dates and see if you guys are going to be in a venue near them.
Venue or gas station. I mean, you might catch us there. So on all socials, it's Wilson Parties. So Instagram /Wilson Parties, Twitter, all that.
Gotcha.
Come check us out. Be fools.
It's always important to talk because all the bass community is very gear centered. Tell us, how are you getting your sound? What gear are you using?
So my rig is, I guess to some people, disappointingly simple. I think it's great because I have less things that I have to worry about when I'm constantly, you know, shoving my gear in and out of a case and throwing it on stages and whatnot. The rig I use live is exactly what I recorded Tasty Nasty with. And My main tone is coming out of a Dark Glass V7K Ultra V2 with the cab sim on it. Been trying out different cab sim features and seeing what I like the most, but essentially that's my foundation. I'm going from my lefty Spectre LX into a Shure GLXD 16 wireless, which goes, the unit goes right on my pedal board, and it's my tuner / receiver, room saver. And from there, I go into an RNDI for a clean line to the front of house. Then I go into a Boss Bass EQ, and I use that specifically to cut out all highs and mids to have like a smoother, more reggae-ish or funky tone. Gotcha. And then I go into a bass chorus. I actually use that a lot. I used to get made fun of for putting chorus on everything, but I think it sounds pretty sweet. And then I go to a Dark Glass Alpha Omicron overdrive pedal. It's just like an insane distortion pedal. And then I have a Dark Glass vintage pedal that I just use for a more old school sound if I need it. Into the Dark Glass, and then DI out to the front of house. And that's my entire rig. I'm on ears. So I actually don't have an amplifier or a cab on stage ever.
Do you have a preference in strings?
Yeah, actually, I use GHS strings, and I've been using GHS strings for the past year or so. I actually grew up using them, and I stopped. I don't remember why I stopped, but at one point the band, when I joined Wilson, they had Ernie Ball at the time, so I was using Ernie Balls, but I much prefer the GHS strings, and I've always been a classic boomer guy. Medium gauge. My hands are just so used to it. Like I've always played 105 to 45 gauge strings always. I don't know. They're just the most consistent. I can get 3 shows out of them. I like to have the fresh string sound, I usually get 3 shows, solid 3 shows out of them. Whereas before the Ernie Balls, I'd get maybe 1, but they sound good. It's just, I sweat a lot. So
longevity, especially if you play like I saw in Like a Baller. I'm not surprised that you're sweating.
I move around. I have fun. Again, for me, performing live, I'm not just playing music. I'm putting on a show, and it's that perfect marriage of theater and art for me. Performing my art, but I'm also putting on a show. So I don't know. For me, it's the coolest thing to do. It's really fun.
I'm looking ahead because I know most musicians are kind of like sharks, very dynamic in nature. We talked a little bit about the tour plans, but what plans do you guys have for the future? Usually working on the next album, or
we're always writing. Like we never stop writing, and all of us kind of have demos that we work out on our own, or we'll just tinker with on the road even together. But really, we're just focused on just getting on the road with this record right now. As far as new music, there's no specific timing to start focusing on that. We just want to kind of take Tasty Nasty as far as it'll take us, you know what I mean? And always write along the way, but no pressure on us at all to make more music right now. Me personally, I am starting to write with my other band, Crowbot, and I don't know exactly when that's going to be finished, but we have festivals coming up around the same time as well with Wilson.
Do you have a website of your own?
Me personally, I just have my personal socials. I'm not a fancy bass website guy, but I just have my band, and I have my Facebook, James Alexander Lascu. I'm the only one. It'll be easy to find. On Instagram, it's Vlad_D_inhaler. And I actually post a lot of bass stuff on there. So if anyone's interested, follow me on Instagram.
Will do. Well, James, we appreciate you taking time, sharing your bass journey, the insights about Wilson and your ongoing projects. Folks, you've seen him here, James Lascu, coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thanks for bassing out with us here on BassMusicianMagazine.com.